there everybody, this is Caitlin here, and today we have another deck profile for you guys. Last week I was showing you my updated version for Sylvia's Spellburn. This week I'm going to be showing you my current build for Shion that I've built, or Shion. I'm still not sure how you're meant to pronounce her name, because I've not heard anyone actually official say how it's pronounced, but this is going to be a sort of dark water deck, because I'm still messing about with what kind of build I want to do for her. I quite like this one that I've come up right now. There are a few things I need to change, mainly the stones, because, you know, this is the cards that I have right now. But I am kind of happy with it. I've tested it out a couple of times. It does really well, and when it pulls off, like, the major combo of, like, the deck, then, like, things happen so quickly, it can be amazing. It's not, like, super, like, OP or anything like that. It is able to beat it, because, you know, if you manage to slow me down or, like, stop everything I'm putting out, then, you know, there is a little flaw in that. So I wouldn't say it's totally perfect, but once it gets the combos out, it really does well. Like, I'm amazed at how much, like, damage I can get off. So obviously our ruler is Songstress of Shangri-la, which, you know, I love her artwork. She just looks totally beautiful. She's obviously my favourite from this set. Her ability, which is what mainly makes her such a good ruler, is that you can look at the top card of your deck at any time. So this is quite handy because there's a couple of little tricks that we can pull off by knowing what the top card is of our deck. Obviously her judgment is you pay 1 water into void to flip her over, and then she becomes the coup d'etat mastermind. I'm not quite sure how you meant to say that. Coup d'etat mastermind, Shion. I managed to get the full art version, so I was very happy with that. Sadly didn't pull it, but I had to trade for it, but still got it. So she's at 900 attack and 1000 defense for her jailer side. Also, you can't really see it, but she's also called a traitor. You can still look at the top card of your main deck when you flip her over. Her effect when she flips over is you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Resonator with 5 cost or less, you can put it into your field. Otherwise, you put it into your hand. So the main idea is that we're going to be wanting to check the top card of our deck so that we know when the time is right to flip her over. We want to flip her over for at least something in our deck that is either like our biggest monster or something else that is kind of useful but not as like useful. But, you know, you'll see when I get over the Resonators. Also, her God's Art, which is Serenade of Rebellion. You pay 2 water for that. And Shion gains 500 until the end of the turn, and then deals her attack to a target J/Resonator that your opponent controls. Which, you know, you can only do that once per game. But it is pretty good, like, if you know that there's something on the field that you want to get rid of, and that, you know, you don't want to swing in with Shion just yet because she's only on 900 attack, you can give her that boost so that you'll at least deal 1400 damage, which is pretty nice. And, you know, I totally adore the full arts in this set. Like, the background and the detail in it is just amazing. But going on to our Resonators now and looking at 1-drops for a deck where we're wanting to look at the top card of our deck and also blue, we are of course running Cheshire Cats. Now don't mind these are just proxies that I've got right now because I have got like ordered Cheshire Cats, but they're currently in the mail, so they're not here yet, so I can't show you in the video. But these are just proxies right now because the rest of them are in the mail. Obviously, you know what Cheshire Cat is. It's a 1-drop water, doesn't have attack, it has 200 defense. When it enters, you draw 2 cards and put a card from your hand on top of your deck. It can't be targeted by spells or abilities, and obviously when it gets put into the graveyard from the field, you shuffle it into your main deck. So it is nice where you can choose to block with it if you know that you're, like, if you've checked the top card and you're not quite happy with it, then you can just, like, mull the Cheshire Cat and get another shuffle, which, you know, kind of boosts your chance of getting something better on the top. The other 1-drop that we're running, because we're doing a dark water deck, is we're running 4 of the Witch of the Night, which at first I didn't quite like it because, you know, it's quite an ugly card or whatever, but, you know, I kind of like it because it's a 1-drop with, like, beefy defense, which is quite nice because most of the stuff we want to set up is a little bit like bigger, so we want to try and protect our side of the field as best as we can, and the Witch is quite good at doing that. Also, if you pay a moon, then a target Resonator gains minus 200 attack until the end of the turn. I only have one source of will, one source for creating Moonwill, which, you know, isn't like ideal, but creating Moonwill isn't going to be super necessary for this deck. It is kind of nice, but it's not going to be a main gimmick. Like, we're not going to be like Kaguya or whatever, trying to like produce will all over the place. Well, Moonwill anyway. And for our 2-drop, we've only got 1 2-drop, but there is a reason for that because most of the stuff we want is bigger, as my dog barks in the background. So what we have for the 2-drop is the Muse Celestial of Music. and also again the full art just looks absolutely gorgeous. When this enters your field, you name a card type and reveal the top card of your deck. If it's that, then you get to draw it. So similar to the Shion's or Hymnal's Memoria or something like that, you can easily get a free draw by just knowing what's on top of your deck. And also, if a Resonator you control would be dealt damage that's less than its defense, you prevent it, which is pretty nice. And plus, she's also a really nice blocker because she has 600 defense. So you're probably not going to be using her for attacking either. You're probably going to be using her for her effect and probably for blocking. But that's okay because most of the stuff that we're attacking with is a little bit later in the game. And essentially for stuff where we want to know what the top card of our deck is and, play it without having to pay much for it, we have 3 Humpty Dumpties, which is from Tat, obviously. And I think it's the current promo right now for tournaments and stuff being held now. At least I think it's that one and the Kaguya one right now. So hopefully I'll maybe get the promo ones because I'm not too sure about the art for this one. But we'll see. So for Humpty Dumpty, he's 800 for a 3 cost. But what he does is we can pay 1 and banish this card, and we reveal the top card of our main deck, and if it's Resonator, we can put it into our field. Otherwise, it goes into the graveyard. So essentially, if we feel like we're not ready to flip Shion, but we know we've got something good on the top of our deck, then we can just say bye-bye to Humpty Dumpty and get that on the field instead. So that's kind of handy as well if we don't either have the stones to flip Shion, or if we want to kind of save her for like getting another big Resonator out. And for another 3-drop, we have the Drill Sergeant. Now, I know a lot of people would probably say that they don't like Drill Sergeant, or they don't like its effect. The main reason I'm running this is for its effect, and also because I totally love the Resonator. Like, I don't know why, like, it reminds me so much of Naoto Shirogane, just with the blue hair and the hat and the uniform and stuff, so that's really why I'm running it. It's like, a personal favourite of mine. I know it's maybe not the most competitive thing ever, but I totally adore this card. It's a 700, and whenever this card attacks or blocks, we reveal the top card of our main deck. If it's a Resonator, all our Resonators gain 300 until end of the turn. Otherwise, you return this card into its owner's hand. So we know that we're only going to block or attack if we know that there's going to be a Resonator on the top of our deck, which, it's kind of like a psyching out thing. Like, you play this, and your opponent knows, like, essentially, if we choose to block or attack, we know what's on the top of our deck. Then we're going to get that buff. And when we have an army of stuff on the field, it's pretty nice. Running that at 3 as well. Going into some of our bigger things that we want to try and get on the field for free, if we can. One of those being a 4 cost, which is Valentina, the Puppet Monarch. So, in terms of the lore, basically, Valentina has pretty much gone insane. She's now a 12 Apostle. She's working for Primogenitor. She's just gone totally mad because she wants Alice that badly that she's going to work for Primogenitor and just, this is pretty insane, and she's got this, like, black skin-tight outfit and weird crown thingamajig that looks like helicopter blades or something like that. But her effect essentially is when it enters the field, we gain control of a target Resonator that our opponent controls as long as Valentina remains on the field. Now, I did check this up. When you take control of an opponent's Resonator, it doesn't trigger, like, if they have an effect, whatever, that triggers when they hit a field, it doesn't go off because it's technically not entering a field for the first time, it's just switching fields. So, sadly, the effect doesn't go off, but we can at least gain control of something, and, she is pretty beefy, and we're probably not going to be choosing to block with her. In most circumstances, we'll be choosing to block with, like, the thing that we've stolen, unless we know it's something that's pretty good and we can make use of. So, she's kind of good for, like, taking something that we know is going to be a problem for us. And then I'm going to bring these two out at the same time to try and explain the combo that we want to pull off. We have one of our big drops, which is the Celestial Winged Seraph, and we have Lucifer, the Angelic Destroyer. Now, this is going to be like the big combo for this deck, and, I'll try and explain it as best I can, but you can probably pick up the gist of what we're going to pull out. So, we have the Celestial Winged Seraph. We ideally want to try and get this to the top of our deck when we really want to either banish Humpty Dumpty, or we want to flip Shion and trigger her J-Ruler side effect. Because even though you can't really see it with the stamping on the card or whatever, she's flying, obviously, because she's an angel. And when she enters the field, we can search our main deck for an angel that is a 4 cost or less and put it into the field, and then shuffle our deck. Lucifer happens to be an angel and a demon. Isn't that quite handy? And he's also 4 cost. He has flying as well, and when he enters the field, our opponent has to banish a Resonator, which, is a pretty nice deal. And also, if we pay a Darkness and a Moon, then whenever Lucifer deals damage to our opponent, we can gain that much life. So essentially what we've got is we've got two flyers, two beefy flyers, by the way, who can both give us life back, because also Seraph, whenever it attacks, we gain 300 life times the number of angels we control. So we've at least got 4 angels here, so, you know, we're gaining life as well, which is one of the things I also like about this deck, is that we have the opportunity to gain life. It's not necessarily going to win us the game by gaining life, but we've got these 2 chunky flyers who are going to be smacking our opponent quite hard, because unless they have flyers as well, they can't block us. And also, if we pull off the deal with the drill sergeant, then, you know, they're both getting 300 plus attack, which is pretty nice. So that's really the main combo that we want to pull off, because I know there's other ways that you can run Shion. I've seen people do it where they, instead of running Celestial Seraph, they maybe run King Arthur for that, or maybe they also run Purple Mist because it can't be targeted by spells or abilities, and also it flies. But I kind of favour Winged Seraph because I quite like the angels and I really wanted to use her. And in terms of regalia that we run, the essential regalia for Shion, if you really want a Shion build to work, is we need her regalia, which is the Heavenly Instrument Hydromonica. At first I thought maybe her regalia would be a violin or something, because it kind of looked like she was playing a violin. But no, it's a hydromonica, which I guess is like some kind of watery instrument, which would make sense because she's a water ruler. But essentially what this does is we can tap it and put the top card of our main deck on the bottom. So if we've checked the top, we don't like what's there, we can just put it up to the bottom, no problem about that. If we pay 2 and tap, then we can banish this card and we can search our main deck for a card and put it to the top of our deck. We can pay 1 less for this if we already have Shion as our ruler. And if we discard another hydromonica, we can draw a card. So there's a lot of nice abilities we can pull off with it. Ideally, we'd love to get all 4 out on our field, just for that extra, like, reorganizing our deck power. And currently, the other regalia that I run, but I'm thinking of taking it out and replacing it with something else quite soon, is the God's Bow, Artemis God's Bow. The only really reason I'm running this is on the off chance that I kind of flip into my Ruler's Memoria, because that's one of the stones that I'm running right now, but the only reason I'm running it is because I've only got 1 Magic Stone of Dark Depth. So really that's the only reason the bow is still here. I ideally don't want to run it because I feel like there's not much use out of it, because, you know, it's filling up 4 slots and I could probably replace it with something better. So right now the bow is here, but once I fix out my stones or whatever, I'm probably going to change it up, because I think bow only really works that well if, like, you're running Arla or maybe Valentina 2.0. So otherwise, I don't think bow really deserves it. Now that we've had, like, kind of new stuff come in that works so much better, we probably don't need the bow as badly. Going on to the last bit, well, not the last bit, but the last bit of our main deck is our chants, our spells, yada yada yada. We're going to be running 4 of Call of Primogenitor, which is a card which I've kind of fallen in love with since my pre-release. It is such a good card. Obviously what it does is we can put a target Resonator from our graveyard into our hand. It's only a 1 darkness cost, which is why it's so good. If we want to, we can pay the Awakening, which is a moon and a void, and we can search our deck for a darkness Resonator, feel it and put it into our hand. But we're probably not going to do that, because obviously Lucifer is the main awesome dark Resonator that we've got, and we want him to come in with Angel, so we're probably not going to do that for the Awakening. But he is very good for getting back stuff that has died, so that we don't have to say goodbye to it entirely. Another awesome spell that we're running is we're running Alice's Scorn. Mainly because I totally love this card. If, like, for the first turn we draw this, we don't have a Cheshire or anything that we can play, we can just instantly go, yeah, Scorn, show me your hand, show me what Resonators you got, you're going to get rid of 1. This is, like, you know, the main reason why I love this card. You know, it's quite applicable to Darkness decks, and even outside of Dark Alice, even though it's like, oh, this is totally her card, but, you know, it can work outside of her deck, which is pretty nice. And since I don't actually own Stoning to Death, I have probably the next best thing, I believe, that we have, which is Space-Time Collapse. Now, I know that in this set there was a Dark and Water card, which I think was, like, minus 500, but I really prefer this, which, it's, like, you know, a 2 cost, and we can destroy a Resonator or a Regalia. So I kind of prefer this over the only give stuff minus 500. I know it's got Remnant ability, but I kind of prefer this because it's instant removal, which is kind of nice. Running it at 4. And what else do we actually have? There's 2 more. I was just trying to check over what was actually left over. We have an addition, because I quite like additions. we have the Barrier of Shadows. It's a 1 cost, which is actually really nice because most of the time when I'm running like additions, I feel like the 2 cost is like makes it like you don't want to play it. But I like how this is a 1 cost, and obviously our opponent needs to pay an extra 1 to do Judgments or God's Art abilities, and our opponent also needs to pay 1 to play Regalia's activate abilities. Running it at 3 because it can be super annoying for our opponent if we know that they rely on Regalia, or like they are going to rely on their God's Art to like absolutely destroy us. We can say, no, you're going to need to pay an extra 1 for each of these I have in the field, plus it's a 1 drop, so I feel like it's still quite viable in this build. And the only other spell that we're running is 2 of Shion's Hymn. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to keep this in. The main reason I've only got it in is because of the fact that it can make her God's Art 2 less, which is essentially we can cast it for free if we played this. But I would maybe only play this if I knew that the Celestial Muse was on the top of the deck, because that's the only 2-drop water that we have whose effect will still go off if we play it like from the top of the deck, because Cheshire Cat's effect won't go off if we're not playing it by hand. So that's the only reason that this is in there only at 2. And now to go over our stones. As I mentioned, I'm currently running 4 of the Ruler's Memoria, mainly because I've only got 1 stone of Dark Depth, which is the dual stone for water and dark. That's really the only reason why the Artemis Bow is even in as well, to try and boost the chance of us having Regalia out, so that this stone doesn't enter rested. It's also kind of handy like to get darkness, but I'm probably going to replace it once I get a playset of Magic Stone of Dark Depth. I only have 1 right now, which is why we've only got 1 running it, and also why I've got the Ruler's Memoria. So I will most likely replace these, but that's what I'm currently got for now. And the other stones that we've got 4 of Shion's Memoria, which is the Hymnal's Memoria, which is when it enters the Magic Stone area, we name a type of card, and if it's the top card of our deck, then we can draw it into our hand. And obviously, it produces war, and when also if Shion is not a ruler, then it enters rested. So really, you're only playing this if you have Shion, because you always want to know what the top card of your deck is, and obviously you don't want it to come in rested. As I said before, we've only got 1 Magic Stone of Dark Depth. We'll most likely get 3 more. I think I've got plans of getting 3 more, so I'll probably replace some of the Ruler's Memoria with this, because literally all it is produce dark or produce water, which is more handy for this deck. And then the last one we have, which is where the moon is coming from, is we have Magic Stone of Moonlight. I would play Magic Stone of Moonshade, but I don't currently own any copies of it. I thought I did. I checked over my folder and all that, but I don't actually have one. I think I've traded them all away. So I'm currently running this now. The only downside is if we flip this turn 1, and obviously we can't produce any will because there's no other will to copy. But this is our source for moon anyway, for Lucifer's effect. And for the witch's effect, but we probably don't really need it, but it's quite handy to have if we know that we need to get life back. So all in all, guys, that is my current Shion build. Let me know what you guys think, what improvements you would make. I know that there's a couple of changes that I want to make personally, because it's not maybe the best it could be right now, so I'm always appreciate like positive criticism or whatever, like, and let me know how you guys are building Shion, because I love to hear how people have run different rulers and whatnot. So until next time, guys, I will see you later.